Why are we still stuck at starting event? There you go.
There we go. Welcome back to another Growth Lab training session, everyone. Today we're joined again by our e-commerce masters, Rhian Beutler and Kelly Vaughn. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks so much for having us again.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, no, it's great. And especially after realizing that I've been mispronouncing your name for 18 months, Rhian.
That's okay.
Yeah, I've been saying Rhian, but it's Rhian, right?
It is, yeah.
Okay, great. Well, after that embarrassment, might as well put you on the spot. So what are some of the, as an SEO expert, what are some of the most common SEO misconceptions that you're seeing out there or hearing?
The most common SEO misconceptions are that it's a waste of time and not to do it. That there's other things that need to be done and that you should put it on the back burner and maybe you'll get to it one day. And that isn't the case. Also for y'all, if you hear a lot of background noise, I'm so sorry. There's some construction being done outside. It should be over soon. I was told it would be over already. I just want to apologize for that out the gates. Let me know if you have any challenges hearing me. So that is, okay, that is what, those are the kind of misconceptions. Or, you know, heading into Black Friday, Cyber Monday, like it's not a big deal. We can worry about this later. It doesn't matter. But the reality is that if you don't focus, like if you always push back and say, we're not focusing on SEO now, like when are you going to focus on it?
Yeah.
Right?
That's a very good point.
It becomes this kind of push-off game where no one ever focuses on it. So
procrastinating.
Yeah, it becomes that thing that's on your to-do list that you just keep putting on your to-do. You never cross it off. It's got to be something that you push up and you really do pay attention to.
Yeah, that's a great point. And Kelly, so as a designer and web developer, on your end, what are some of the most common questions you're getting about SEO?
Most common questions are usually related around the content side, like how much do I actually have to be writing for my product descriptions? How long do they need to be? Can I put content behind tabs on product pages if they're super long? We can kind of dig into that later as far as the answer goes. I don't want to spoil anything because we're like 3 minutes in.
Yeah.
We gotta give you something to look forward to.
Exactly. Leave them wanting or keep them wanting more. Cool. So I remember last time you guys were on, you had just created a podcast. Have you recorded any new episodes since? Tell us more.
So we just launched, I think, our 17th episode on Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
So the podcast is called Commerce Tea, and we are talking all things Shopify. So various, like how to optimize your store. We're talking to merchants about their growth experience, all kinds of really great topics. We actually have a really great episode on SEO since, you know, we're talking about SEO today. It might be worth giving it a listen. Actually, it's absolutely worth giving it a listen. I'm biased, but it's my favorite podcast.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. We'll make sure to share a link to that in the chat. And did you say you also created a YouTube channel?
We did.
We did. It's new.
You want to explain our YouTube channel?
Yeah, tell us more, please.
It's Kelly and I, unsurprisingly. And at the moment, we're doing a teardown series, but we're calling it friendly teardowns because we don't know how teardowns, you know, if it sounds happy or sad or somewhere between. And anyways, we're doing friendly teardowns and we're doing one a week. And for those of you who have been here before, at the end of these, we always do teardowns and we say, hey, fill out this form and we'll get to you. And we said, we're going to do a YouTube. Well, guess what? We did the YouTube. And it is youtube.com/commerce tea.
That's right.
Awesome.
Easy to remember. We had the usernames for everything for once. So
you got
we were able to get it.
Awesome.
Part of our branding choices, as all of you know, as merchants, is when you're sitting there thinking, how am I going to get my name for everything?
Yep.
We actually did it.
Well done. Congrats on getting the name. To everyone out there, we will be sharing a full replay of today's training session along with all the pro tips and tools that Kelly and Rhian might be sharing during the session. Also, if you haven't already, check out our community on Facebook. I'll make sure to drop a link to that in the chat as well. But otherwise, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, Rhian, I think we should start with introductions. So do you want to tell the world who you are?
I do. Hi, everybody. My name is Rhian Beutler. I am the COO and co-founder of Venntov. We're a Shopify app company. We've got 3 apps in the App Store. And I couldn't remember the name. I'm like, what do I do? SEO Manager, Order Lookup, and Clocked In. Those are our 3 apps. Our flagship app is SEO Manager. Kelly, and I'm based out of Redlands, California, which for those of you who don't know where that is, that's in Southern California, about 45 minutes inland from the beach. What about you, Kelly?
My name is Kelly Vaughn. I'm the founder and CEO of the Taproom, our Shopify Plus agency specializing in custom development solutions. And I am based out of Atlanta. I'm a developer, and I've been coding since I was 11 years old, so a majority of my life.
I have that's the majority forever. I have been coding for always.
At least 2/3 of my life.
Yeah, I love that. Kelly and I actually both started coding on the same platform at different times of our life. And that platform was called Neopets, which is phenomenal.
One more time, the names of your apps.
Yes. Well, thank you for asking because I did almost forget myself. So SEO Manager, Order Lookup, and Clocked In.
Perfect. Well, let's kick things off. Let's talk about SEO.
Let's do it.
So first, a really difficult question for you.
Yes.
What is SEO?
SEO. I like that softball. SEO is search engine optimization. So what that means is where are you getting ranked on SERPs? We, by the way, love an acronym. So if I say an acronym and you're like, what is she talking about? I try to define them along the way, but sometimes we miss them because we're so used to saying them. So SEO is where you rank on SERPs, which is a search engine result page. And the goal of optimizing for search or SEO is to be found on Google on preferably the front page, the top page of Google. But in e-commerce, we can also see we're seeing some click-throughs on the second page, sometimes on third, but mostly on first. The goal is first.
Goal is first, yes.
But if you're in a congested market, sometimes the second page is okay as well.
Okay, so we know what SEO is now. Why does it matter?
Well, SEO matters because if you're not getting found, where are you on the internet? You when you build a store on Shopify or on any platform, you're essentially just launching a store into the universe, right? It's like putting it in the middle of Georgia, but like rural Georgia, and there's not that many roads. And so
most of Georgia.
Yeah. Okay. So I've only been once. So you have to then build the roads to your store. And that is through search, and that's through paid, and that is through press, and that is through backlinks. And there's all these strategies. So think of it like one of those Rubik's cubes with a bunch of different sides. There's so many different components to search engine optimization. And we kind of get stuck in this idea that it's just the stuff you put on your page, but really it's everything. And it's anything that you do that builds the roads to your store. And then everything you do inside of your store that keeps people or your customers around asking questions and inside.
So when you hear build it and they will come, usually people are like, well, that doesn't actually work in e-commerce because you have to find customers somehow. Part of building it is SEO.
Yes. Yes. And also part of they will come is SEO.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So how exactly does SEO work?
It's driven by algorithms. There's a lot of algorithms. I like to call them animal algorithms because there's a menagerie of animals. There's panda, penguin, hummingbird. There's so many. Lots of them are peas. But there's also two others. There's one called RankBrain, which is RankBrain helps match an idea to a query. So that's Google trying to understand the gist of what you are attempting to ask. So this is a good example of when you say, like if you're trying to find a recipe, for instance, and you're trying to say, what can I make with a chicken breast? Because you've eaten the same thing with a chicken breast so many times. This is where RankBrain really comes in. And that's initially why RankBrain was developed, and it launched in 2016. But now, and it was only launched to like 15% of Google, but now it's launched wide. And so now it's being used to answer questions like, where can I find a sustainably made black t-shirt? Right? So it's looking for those conversational queries. Now, there's also something called neural matching. And neural matching it helps Google better relate words to searches. For example, how do I change my live image to a GIF? Also means how do I convert or modify or exchange? It's like synonyms, I guess you could say. That update, that algorithm is called a BERT, like Bert and Ernie. But BERT is an acronym, and I'm going to tell you what it means, and I'm going to say it once, and it's written down because I can never remember it. Bidirectional encoder representations for transformers. Super memorable.
Okay. Useful.
Yeah.
This is why we use acronyms.
This is why we use acronyms, because you're like, what? But really, it helps with synonyms, words to concepts.
Okay. So let's break down SERP a little bit more. You said what it stands for, but
yes.
But can you maybe show us what that result looks like and kind of define what we're looking at?
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't I share my screen and we can chat about it. New tab. Here we go. All right. Everyone can see what we're looking at, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's do movement.
Okay.
All right. So this is a SERP. I searched for movement. Granted, I didn't do a conversational query. I did a branded query, and there's a reason for that. It's because there's a lot of good things on this page that I kind of want to call out while we're here. So this is what SERP looks like. These little guys right here. So this is an ad, right? We all know that. These guys right here are called site links. You cannot buy them. They just come with traffic. This over here is called a knowledge graph. This comes from something called JSON. What I love about knowledge graph information is this is associative, right? This is rank brain. People also ask. So when people are making the query of movement, they're also asking these similar questions. The cool thing about this is when you're trying to get found for, let's say, the sustainable black t-shirts, perhaps people are also asking, I don't know, in an Everlane versus another sustainable black t-shirt company, are Everlane t-shirts the best quality? Or you might get other options served here. You're also going to get videos served here and where you can buy them served here. But let's Google instead best watch company. So you get your ads served up front. Here's a knowledge graph. So apparently Town and Country Magazine, this is why press matters. Town and Country Magazine has a lot to say, and they're taking up a large amount of that real estate on your SERP. So it's feeding you what you think or what Google thinks you're looking for. Now, this can also, I would like to point out, this also depends on your buying patterns, right? So this is if you all look at this and ask best watch companies the same query, or what is the best watch company, you might get something different depending on your location, depending on what you've bought in the past. Google will remember all of that, especially if, see how I'm logged in over here? That's my personal email. So Google kind of knows everything about me. So
it also likes to show you pages you visited before.
Oh, it loves to show me pages. It's like, would you like to look at this thing you've looked at a bunch of times?
You've looked at this 48 times in the past 2 weeks.
So these are articles that lead, and then best watch company. So we're not getting to actual brands.
I think best watch company, I don't know what that was. There was something.
Oh, that could actually be a brand.
A store. Yeah.
So,
okay.
Or no.
So now we have an actual store.
Now we have an actual store.
So not bad. Best watch company, top of page 2 is this store.
Yes. I've never looked at the store before, by the way. But it's obviously ranking. They obviously have a lot of fancy watches. And let's see, I'm just going to go back real quick in case I missed something. Best watch company. Did we miss anything? Okay, let's see. Best watch company. You're right, Kelly. Right there. Best watch company ranks for best watch company.
Imagine that. This is what we call a branded keyword.
Yes, yes, it does help when your URL matches the search.
The search query.
I think if they didn't already own this URL cost a lot of money.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
For sure. Also,
I'm
apparently,
pretty sure this is a
Roddy Mills
Shopify store, by
watches.
the way.
I think you
This
are.
is like, yeah.
Yeah, like the debut theme.
When you spend so much time on Shopify stores, you tend to immediately recognize which theme people are using.
So, yeah.
Okay.
That's just a little.
So I think one of the things that's often confusing are keywords.
Yes.
What are they? How long do they need to be? How can you use them?
So a keyword is an anchor point that Google uses when there's a query. But that's a really fancy way of saying it's something that explains what you're selling. It is like what you're wearing, right? You're wearing a gray Shopify hoodie. So, okay, so that's 3 words. You're like, okay, that's a keyword, but that's called a long tail keyword. I would count that as a keyword. Back in the olden days of SEO in like 2013, that was something that was different, right? It would be like gray sweater would kind of be like the max, but now we're looking more at the long tail. And so that's what a keyword is. So when you're trying to get found for something, even though Google has all of this rad AI and neural matching and fancy words, really you have to still give it something to latch onto. It's not a magic ball. You have to give it something to reference. And that's what you do with keywords. And a great way to find those keywords is by looking at your competitors and also asking yourself, what I like to do is say, what would I expect people to search? So not just gray Shopify hoodie or whatever I said before, but it would be, how do I get a Shopify hoodie?
Yeah. So I think that's a really important point to make. We all have smartphones. We all have those in-home devices like Alexa or Google Home, I think it's called.
Or Nest?
No, not the thermostat.
Is that different?
Yes, not the thermostat. We're not talking to our thermostat right now. I guess we could be. But point being, we're often starting to make searches with our voice. And that means we're not yelling into, hey, Siri. Oh, please don't do that. It's listening to me. I knew it. That was a bad idea. As you said, gray Shopify hoodie. I'm not searching for that. No. I'm saying, where can I buy a gray Shopify hoodie? Or what can I make with chicken breasts? You know, those kinds of, and so we're talking long tail keywords here. This is where we're really moving towards.
Absolutely. And not to mention, don't forget your phones.
Yes.
Because more and more queries are being made directly to phones. We're thinking over 50% by 2021.
Yeah, which is also worth noting, most of us are shopping on our phones as well. So over 60 to 65% of all online sales are now made through a mobile device. So they're starting their search and they're finishing their purchase on their phones.
Absolutely. And right now, especially while everyone's at home, everyone has a device of some sort in their hands for most of the day.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about what keywords are. I think now we're starting to dig into the meat of like, what are some actions we can take on our own site? So let's start with keyword research. How do we conduct keyword research?
So keyword research can be conducted in a litany of ways. First, do what I said earlier, where you ask the question that you think you're trying to solve.
Okay.
Then you're going to find some people ranking for it already, go through their stores, see what they're saying, see if there's any keywords that start repeating themselves. You will notice it. Second, look at your competitor. And so there's a few different kinds of competitors. I like to say there's an aspirational competitor, and then there's a peer competitor. And so an aspirational competitor means, and for those of you joining me before, sorry for the story, I used to consult for a company, it was a streetwear company. And I was like, who's your competition? And they said, Nike. And I said, they're not your competition. And so there's something about, but there's nothing wrong with like wanting to become as big as Nike. Nike wasn't always as big as Nike. Movement wasn't always movement.
Allbirds wasn't always Allbirds.
Allbirds wasn't always Allbirds.
Like 90 times.
You can still be gunning for that top spot, but you also need to be looking at your peer competitors, because truly your peer competitors are going to have a more realistic expectation or portrayal of the keywords that you need to be ranking for. Nike gets to play by a different set of rules. And I feel like I always pick on Nike, but Nike, etc.
I mean, I also I experience the same thing with my clients. My competitor is Amazon. Your competitor is not Amazon.
No.
It might be other brands who happen to be selling on Amazon, but it is not Amazon as a whole.
Right. Exactly. So that's what I'd recommend as doing first. And then I do something really old school and I just write the words I keep seeing down on a whiteboard, which I know is not effective. If I was Kelly, I'd be putting it in a spreadsheet because she's more organized than I am. But those are a few different ways to do it. You can also use Google AdWords in the advanced mode. They have a keyword planning tool. So you've got to sign up for AdWords. They make you put your credit card in. Don't worry, you don't actually have to buy an ad. And then you can use the keyword planning tool. And when you use the keyword planning tool, the goal is to find something that has high search volume, low competition, low cost.
Okay.
Now wait, but something to worry about is if you're like hyper niche and you're like, I'm going to get, and Google will point this out for you. I want to get found for, and I can't think of something hyper niche off the top of my head. And then you look and it's like, well, there's only 300 Google searches a month on that. It becomes exponentially more difficult to get found when you are hyper niche like that.
Right. Okay. So we have this hypothetical list of keywords that we've come up with now. Let's talk about where to use those keywords, starting with, let's back up. Let's start with what a meta title and description are.
Oh, yes. Let's. Okay, we're going to use movement again as an example. And let me go back over to them. Oh, sorry, 1 second.
We can't see your screen anyway.
Oh, I know you can't. I wanted to get there before I went there. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is a title tag. This is a meta description. What I like to think of the title tag as being, or page title, depending on who you're looking. Another thing SEO people like to do is we have multiple words that mean the exact same thing. So this is your title, like the title of an article in the news. And then your meta description basically explains why you should click on this specific product. Now, you can put keywords here. You kind of naturally do, right? They have premium watches in there. That's a keyword. Blue light glasses, that's a keyword. Watches for women is a keyword. Just so we all know. So there's multiple keywords in here, but that feels pretty organic. Ironically, Google does not crawl this for rank. However, this copy needs to make me want to click on this, because it's one thing to work your buns off and get on the first page of Google. It's another to make sure people are actually clicking on your store and therefore driving traffic.
Yes. Okay. So let's talk about where this appears in your Shopify admin, so you know exactly where you can actually make these changes. So I'm going to share my screen now.
Perfect.
I'm so thankful that I can share one Chrome tag, because there would be a lot of tabs to show you.
So many tabs.
So we're going to start with this one. So this is actually a store that I own. And I kind of want to walk you through what happens here if you don't set a custom title and meta description. So you can see this product title is contribution throw blanket. And I have a description here. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you see a section called Search Engine Listing Preview. And you can see the same title as the product. And notice this description is exactly the same as what you see here. So it automatically pulls the title and the description of your product and creates the search engine listing for you. However, that's not the best way to write your titles and meta descriptions, because there is a character limit. Do you want to talk about the character limits before I show how to edit them?
I do want to talk about the character limits, and actually, sorry, Shopify, but the native tool on Shopify is actually incorrect as of right now. What happened was Google came out, I don't even know what year it was anymore, 2018, perhaps?
I think it was 18.
18, and said, everybody, we're changing meta descriptions to 320 characters. And everybody really quickly changed to 320 characters. And like 2 months later, they walked it back and said, everybody, we're changing it back to 160. And what's interesting is, so that's what's published right now is 160. I'm seeing pretty consistently truncation at about 130.
Okay. So 130 for the products or the meta
I would say 130 to 140. One thing also to note about the character count is it isn't truly a character that they're counting. They're counting width. So if you have a lot of words that begin with W or other wide letters, you actually get less characters. And that can be frustrating when you're writing because you're like, why is this truncating? I don't get it. I'm within the character limit, but actually because you have wide characters,
Okay.
You're not.
So that's for the meta description. How about the length of the title?
The title should be about 60.
About 60 characters. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again and show a different product. Let's show this one here. So this one's called Don't Push to Production Mug, and I have my information there. This is too short of a product description. Don't judge me. Okay, so you can click Edit Website SEO, and you can now change the title and the description, and you can also change the handle, but that's not what we're looking at today. So if I clear that out, it automatically defaults to what was in my product description and the product title. So I'm going to delete that, and you can see the length here. So this is 129 characters, just so you have an idea.
Perfect. And the reason, by the way, why I said earlier 60 for the page title, it's just to give you that grace if you've got the wide letters.
Exactly. I think that's a very important clarification, though, because it is, as you said, it's the width of the actual letter. If you're using a lot of W's, they're going to take up more space than the letter I.
Or T's.
Yeah.
Or M's.
Are we just like going to shape out all the letters?
Yeah,
now?
I'm going to shape out all the letters.
YMCA here.
Yeah. Y
Cool.
is also a big letter. Speaking of letters that take up a lot of pixels.
Okay. So Monique asked a question.
Okay.
Does the title count include your brand name and web title? It only does if you make it do that.
Yeah. And sometimes the theme forces it.
Yes.
There are certain themes that addend the brand name to your title. I don't love that. Here's why. You already have, okay, there's a use case for it. If you were an online boutique and you're selling, I don't know, you're selling a hydro flask, right? So you have reusable purple lavender hydro flask. So then you put the brand name in, right? But if you were Hydro Flask, the brand, all you would need to put in is lilac or purple, whatever size this is. You don't need to, again, say Hydro Flask. But if you are a boutique, you would need to say the brand. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me.
Okay.
Okay.
But you don't want to put your own brand name in over and over because Google's crawling your brand name from your title and the other content on your page.
That's right. Okay. So another question that came in. I've heard a lot, you've got to spend money to make money when it comes to SEO. Is that true? This is a really great opportunity to talk about backlinks as well.
Yes. So the answer is sort of. It depends. It depends. Yeah, which unfortunately is an answer for a lot of questions with SEO. Depends on how much you can do yourself, right? Depends on if you like to write, if you're a good writer, if you like to look at data. And if the answer to questions like that are absolutely not, please take it away from me, I don't want to see it, then you do have to pay money because you need someone who can look at Google Analytics and understand it. You need somebody who can write in and integrate keywords in a way that feels organic, which can be really challenging because all copy and content you write on your store needs to feel like a human being wrote it and not like a robot wrote it. So that's one component of it. The other part is the technical component. If you have major technical errors on your store or performance errors on your store and you can't fix them because you're not a developer, join the team, nor am I. I don't write code regularly. I haven't for a very long time. And if I do write it, it is terrible. So someone like me would have to have a developer come in and help me out to make sure my site is performant. And performance really matters. And it is a place that is very important to put your money. There are alternate perspectives on this. And there's another perspective in this is going around that's kind of very much like, well, stores like Gymshark, stores like Movement don't have highly performing quick sites, but they don't have to. They kind of start falling into that Nike category. When you're an up and comer, you've got to play by all the rules.
That's right.
So the other part of this that gets expensive is getting those backlinks in an ethical way. So what are ways you can get backlinks that are ethical? Well, certainly do not buy them when they are emailed to you and it's like, let me give you 1,000 backlinks for $300 and be on the top page of Google. Don't know if you guys have gotten that email. I've gotten it so many times I can't even count. Do not do it. It's one of the best ways to get delisted from Google that you can do. But sometimes, well, oftentimes, if you're paying for placement from influencers, that costs money. And when you're doing co-marketing, that costs money. And when you're buying ads, that costs money. So remember how earlier I talked about SEO being that multidimensional Rubik's Cube? It's different parts cost money depending on your strengths and weaknesses, but no matter what, it's probably going to cost you some amount of money depending on your skill set.
Okay. I'm going to go through a couple more questions here.
Okay.
So let's go with, should we use our store name and location in our product title? This is a good eBay question.
No.
You should not. You know, when you're shopping on eBay and you see all of those keywords that are plugged into the product name, so it works on eBay, it does not work on your online store.
No, and in fact, Google looks at that as a spam indicator. Google's really sensitive to spam. And if you ever want to be bored out of your mind, but possibly learn something, you can go to the Google Search Console blog. And they've got a Google Webmasters blog. And it talks all about search. Every year they have a spam report. And you can either watch it or listen to it. It's pretty long. But either way, the crux of it is, that's why it's my job to read it. The crux of it is Google gets better and better every year at figuring out what spam is. And they will look at that and say, that is spammy. Or it's a spammy tactic.
Yes.
Anytime you're shoving a bunch of keywords of anything in anywhere, it's called keyword stuffing. Google doesn't like it.
Okay. So I'm going to be answering another question here for a second.
Okay.
But let's go with, okay, first off, can you define what backlinks are?
Yes, a backlink is any inbound link to your store. So whether that's the New York Times wrote an article about your awesome candle, or whether it's a blog from, if you are an awesome candle and you've partnered with an awesome plant company and you did a blog together and the plant company linked to you, that also counts. Now, not all backlinks are worth the same amount of points or SEO juice, because something from the New York Times has more domain authority than a plant company would have. It would have, right. If a domain authority is out of 100, right? New York Times is probably like 80 or 90. A plant company, even the most highly ranking ones are probably more like a 40.
So this brings another good question up. How do you get good free backlinks? And what you mentioned, first off, collaborations are a really great way to do that. Partner with another brand, write a blog post with each other on each other's websites and link to each other. That's a great way to do it. PR in general, again, those links in the publications are a really great opportunity for backlinks as well.
Yeah, product seeding is a great way to do it if you have the bandwidth and resources to product seed. But my favorite, as Kelly said, is finding a company that you don't compete with and you're never going to compete with and do something cool together.
Right. Okay, so if you see a few more comments here about keyword stuffing. So keyword stuffing is when you're putting, like, as we were explaining, I'm explaining this, my phone, and it's like iPhone, Apple iPhone, iPhone 11 Pro. It's just like all the same like keywords, like really great phone, whatever you want to say. It's basically, that is the idea of keyword stuffing. It does not work.
No.
Google does not like to see it. Google scolds you if you do that.
Yes, and by scolding, Google has the power to literally remove your ranking, your listing off of Google.
Yeah, and they can remove you.
They can take you off. And considering Google search fault, the reason we're talking about Google, and I'm not talking about Yahoo and DuckDuckGo, is because Google makes up in Western markets over 90% of all search traffic.
So vast majority.
The vast majority.
Okay, I did want to do answer a quick question here as well. So question, does the meta description show to the world? Yes, and I can show you exactly. Okay, I'm showing my entire Chrome. Again, I apologize for my million tabs open, but this is way easier. So, all right, here's the product again. So we had the title, Don't Push the Production Mug, and this description. I Googled don't push to production mug. There's the same exact description right there.
There you go. Kelly's theme is addending her brand name.
Yes, it is. My store name is KVLLY. As a developer, you'd think I'd remove that, but there's a time for and place for everything, and when it's the whole I'll get to it one day.
Yeah, it's the whole like the cobbler's children go unshod or whatever that old adage is we don't take care of ourselves because we're busy taking care of everybody else. I saw a quick question. What is product seeding? Product seeding is when you send out your product for free to a bunch of people and you hope it sticks. One of my favorite stories is there's a swimsuit brand called Chromat, and this has to be 5, 6, 7 years ago. I was consulting for a boutique in LA, and they got Chromat and they were selling out like hotcakes. They couldn't keep it fast. And we're like, what has happened here? Well, apparently Chromat had been sending their products every single season to Beyonce. Okay. They'd just been sending it and like no response, nothing until she was photographed wearing it.
Oh.
And then like literally it couldn't be kept in stock anywhere. And they sold out for forever, and it gave them this major boost. So that's what product seeding is. And maybe you won't send it, maybe it won't be Beyonce that posts it, but there are a lot of influencers who take press packages who will post things without it being a paid ad. There are. I know it feels like everything is paid right now, but it is actually it's still a thing. I promise.
Joseph asks, should you use the actual question being asked in the meta description? Example, what is the best tool for unclogging my drain?
You probably want to answer that question and do it in a way that is really organic sounding. But I don't know what product would be the best tool for unclogging the drain. But you can even, depending on your brand voice and stuff, you can say, you have found the best tool on the market for unclogging your drain. This is how this product works. And that's where you really get in and you sell it like you would sell it in person if you were selling in an Ace Hardware or a Home Depot or something like that. So answer the question. Don't restate the question.
Exactly. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about alt text next, because keywords do fall into alt text as well, but
yes,
alt text has much more important meaning, starting with the fact that alt text is alternative text. And basically what this is a description of an image. So what is it that this image is actually conveying, or what am I actually seeing? If you're using a screen reader, so if you're not sighted, then you need to use a screen reader if you're going to be shopping on a store. And if the images do not have alt text, they are completely meaningless to the person who is shopping. But there is an SEO benefit to alt text as well.
There is an SEO benefit to alt text as well. And that is that now Google knows what your picture is of. And more people, their search behavior is actually searching through Google image search as opposed to Google search. So they're looking in Google image search and they're going down and they're picking that way. And that's how you get found in Google image search. Super important to do. And it's a great way. There's actually no character limit on alt text. So, and a great way to write it, a wonderful woman in our industry, Alana Davis, always describes this as write your alt text as if you're describing your product over the phone. So I'm like, hey, Kelly, yeah, so it's a 32 ounce. I don't even know what size this is. It's a
64 ounce.
40. It's a 40 ounce lavender hydro flask. So it's an aluminum. It's double barrel. It's got a flip up. Right, so I'm sitting here describing it. It's got a black. The top part is black, and it's got this little doodad to carry it.
We'll call it a handle.
Handle.
Being you're not saying hydro flask, or you're not saying drink canister.
And you're also calling out whether it's from the front, like front with the
front
logo,
view or side view.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about where to add alt text. There's a few different places you need to know about.
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going this one. Pulled up a different store this time because why not? So first off,
Because Kelly loves a side project.
I collect side projects, and this is one of them. So alt text is for each of your images. If you click on the image, you're going to see this box right here. And you can just click add alt text. And here I would be describing the book. I'm not going to do it right now because there's a reason for that, because it's an example. So the other place is going to be within your Shopify theme.
Mm-hmm.
So if I go to customize, and it loads the customizer eventually in time.
It's thinking.
Yes, it's thinking. Oh, look, it's me. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Okay, so if you have a section on your homepage that includes a picture, each of these images also need alt text as well. So if you click edit, that's the box where you put it in there.
Yes.
This is for every single image that you have on your site. Oh, look, this one has one. Photo of Kelly Vaughn displaying the t-shirt she received as her first payment for a freelance project.
Yay.
I don't actually describe what the t-shirt is, but that's irrelevant to the topic. But that's so those are two of the places. The third place, I don't know if I actually have any informational pages on here, but this is going to be.
It's the same as on the blog as well.
Yeah, I don't have blog posts on here either.
You can on Commerce Tea if you want.
That's true. Let's go to that one. Another Shopify store. I told you to collect them. Our podcast website is set up on Shopify as well, because why not?
Yeah.
Okay. So online store, blog posts. I'll go into this one. Okay, so we have these sponsor images. So if I double click on this, there's no alt text.
Uh-oh.
Should I go to an earlier episode?
Do the one we did this week, because for sure I was going through.
I thought that was the one I opened.
Oh.
This is an older one. Okay, Octane
There
AI.
we go. I swear we know what we're doing.
Okay, but point being, that's where all the places you need to list them. Okay, does alt text need punctuation?
Well, yes, because
it's helpful if you're reading, like if it's sentence case, then yes, use punctuation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, catching up on these questions since I was sharing my screen. All right, so we answered how do you set up alt text in your Shopify admin? Should all the images on the page have different alt text? Are they different images?
Yeah.
If they are,
then
different alt text. Okay, how important is it to enter your company name in alt text to help with brand awareness? So not in your title, the product title. What about the alt text?
Well, if it makes sense in your description, then absolutely. But if it doesn't make sense, then no.
Yeah, so if I had a picture of me holding up my book and it said Kelly holding up a book titled Start Freelancing Today, that would make sense. But if I'm not holding it, you don't want to just again, it's kind of like keyword stuffing. It's not what you want to do.
Yeah.
Do you use space for alt text or hyphens or underscores? You use spaces. It is again, it's like describing something to somebody over the phone, unless you're talking with this underscore shirt underscore is underscore, and we don't want to do that. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Is it important to update keywords and meta descriptions in alt tags? Does Google get mad if they stay stagnant?
Actually, stagnant content is a problem. However, okay, the answer is it depends. Here's why. Let's say you have a product that is a great gift product. You can re-optimize it for its necklace, let's say. Let's say it's a mom necklace, okay? So you can re-optimize it for Valentine's Day, for Mother's Day, for the winter holidays. And perfect gift for blah, perfect gift. And maybe in the down season when there's not a giant holiday, perfect for anniversaries. And so you can change that up a little bit, but ultimately it's okay if that stagnates, because the rest of your store should not stagnate. And so the ways to avoid that is to have reviews, because that's the best way to get the quickest content, the fastest, that also you don't have to write yourself, and also to have a blog. And you want to have a blog about once a week if you can, 500 characters if you can.
500 words.
500, oh my gosh, 500 words. 500 characters is not, if 500, it's that much.
That's 2 tweets. Yeah, let's do more than that.
But yeah, 500 words. And the reason why it's so important is because Google looks and sees if your content is fresh and actually gives preference to brands and stores and sites that have fresh content. It's one of the ranking indicators.
So let's talk a little bit more about blogging, because there are a
Yes.
couple of things to cover here. First off, yes, Shopify does have its own blogging functionality. If you're used to using something like WordPress, it's pretty basic compared to WordPress, but it works. I do want to know, I did see a question earlier about tags on your products, tags on your collections. I don't know if collections have tags actually. Tags on your blog posts. These don't help with SEO.
No, not
These
at all.
help with search on your website though. So just an example, if you have a product that's very difficult to spell, this is kind of not related to SEO, but if you have a product that's difficult to spell, then you can add the common misspellings as tags to that product. And if somebody misspells it and you're not using like a smart search functionality, then then the Shopify search functionality recognizes that, oh, this is the product that they're actually searching for.
Yeah.
So second question, having a blog on Shopify versus if you do want to have a blog, so let's say on a subdomain on WordPress.
I personally think you want to keep, and I know, you want to keep a person on your store as long as possible. You don't want to start diverting traffic off into the ether. You want to keep people on your store, because what that says to Google is it says this store has, so Google has one of the things that they rank highly off of is called EAT. It's expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. So the longer somebody is on your store, it shows that you're an expert and an authority in your space, right? It also shows you're trustworthy, because why else would someone be sticking on your store? But if you bring someone in your store through a product description page, which is the prime way people get to your store, and then they go through onto a blog, and then they just leave into the ether, well, that doesn't really have a good journey. That just shows that people go to WordPress after your Shopify store. So you're going to want to keep it on. I know that out of the box, the blog is not perfect. I recognize that. But keeping people on your store is more important than it being beautiful, in my opinion. There's also apps that you can beautify your blog through.
There's also developers who can do that for you too.
There's also developers that can do it. And actually, I would recommend using a developer over an app if you have the resource for it, because sometimes the apps can get a little bit muddy in the meta fields, which can impact your SEO in other ways.
So actually, speaking of apps, I know it can be very annoying to have to write all of these titles and meta descriptions and alt text. And there are tools that automate the process for you.
There are. I don't like them. I don't like to speak poorly of others' apps, so I'm going to speak in general terms. Google does not like automated content. Google can sense automated content. It might pay off in the short term, but it will not pay off in the long term. So like in my app, we offer it for titles. We offer title templates because title templates don't get crawled. Remember how we talked about that for keywords? It's not as important. We do not offer templating for alt text at all. And the reason why is Google can tell if you're templating alt text. They just know. They just know. And as RankBrain gets smarter and smarter, so RankBrain is so cool. Y'all are going to be like, actually, RankBrain sounds terrifying. But okay, so RankBrain's so cool because Google did a test where they asked a human for an answer and RankBrain for an answer, and RankBrain actually delivers the answer 86% of the time better than a human.
The computers are officially taking over.
Yes. Yes.
So does that mean it's bad to use a formula to write titles and descriptions?
Yes. It does mean it's bad to use a formula. Now you can it can be sort of formulaic, right? But it can't be an exact formula like this blank is awesome for blank because blank, right? That feels too formulaic. You have to massage it a little bit. And that's why earlier when someone asked about it takes money to make money when it comes to SEO. If I'm spending money on SEO, I'm spending money on a copywriter 100% of the time. A good copywriter.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit here before we jump back into questions.
Okay.
If there is one thing that I can do to get started on optimizing my site for SEO, what's the first thing that I should do?
So ironically, it's nothing we've talked about yet. This is the easiest thing you can do today. So this is if you can do one thing today, this is your thing. Submit your sitemap to Google. And
how do I do that?
That's a great question.
First off, actually, what is a sitemap?
So a sitemap gives Google a map of your store. So without a sitemap, it would be like dropping me off in downtown LA and telling me to walk to Santa Monica with no map. I would be lost in 3 seconds. And it's important that we tell Shopify, we tell Google what we want them to do on our store. So if you want me, and me now I'm Google. If you want me to get to Santa Monica, or you want me to get to your cute black sustainable t-shirt, you need to show me how to get there. And there's something called a site hierarchy, which is what's handled in a sitemap. Luckily, Shopify does this in a super, super easy to implement easily. And it got posted right there. A sitemap on Shopify is always the same. It's always sitemap.xml.
Yes,
and
so
it's dynamic.
Website.com/sitemap.xml. You never have to update it. You never have to make any changes to it. Shopify handles all of that for you. All you need to do is submit it. And there is a link in the comments right now for steps from Shopify on how to submit your sitemap.
Yeah, it's honestly one of my favorite parts about Shopify. It's like this super secret sauce that you all have access to.
Yes, it's a really great first thing to do. Absolutely. So let's talk about one of my favorite topics, which is your product description.
Yeah.
So product descriptions, I talk about conversion rate optimization a lot, which having a strong product description is going to be really important for actually converting visitors into customers. But of course, the content you write is crawled by Google. So of course, it has a very strong correlation with how you're going to perform on Google as well.
Absolutely. It's critical to write phenomenal product descriptions. And I think I'm going to look at Pit Viper as an example. But before I do, sometimes I get burned when I pull things up. Okay, so this is like snappy copy. It's good storytelling copy. Let me just pull this up really quickly. Pit Viper. Okay, I know you're all are like, if you haven't seen this, you're like, this looks like it's built in the 90s, but it's very intentionally built that way. So this is the day fade belt. So it's a belt, obviously. And it talks about belts, a necklace for your pants. So this is, oh my gosh, this is a little bit risque as well.
A little lot. Yeah, this is a bit.
Hold on. I picked the wrong one. This is what happens. Let me
try this on the glasses since that's
let's try the glasses and see if they're less. Okay, so the glasses don't have anything.
Oh, it's way down there.
It's way down there. I don't love this.
Let's actually pull up Thigh Society.
Okay, I was going to say Thigh Society or Kinfield. Let's do Thigh Society.
Okay.
Do you want me to grab it? Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead and do that. I'll answer some questions in the meantime. Is it better to submit a sitemap through Search Console or just let Shopify do it? So you have to submit your sitemap through Google Search Console. Shopify is just providing you with the link to the sitemap. They do not do it for you.
Yes. So Thigh Society. Let's look at the cooling ones.
Okay.
Look at this content.
This is some good content.
This is some good content. So Thigh Society they're like shorts, but they're kind of like underwear, but they're so if you wear a dress, you don't have chafing. So, but this talks all about exactly what it is, right? And this really sells it. So this does two things. One, it's got keywords in it. Two, it sells me the product. So I love it.
There's even more content below.
And there's even more content below. Kelly, can you talk a little bit about these?
Yes. So in terms of conversion rate optimization, these are really important things to have on here. First off, shipping. Are we talking conversion rate optimization? Because that's exactly what I'm going to end up doing if you don't stop me.
Well, here's the thing, right? conversion rate optimization matters when it comes to SEO, because if your people just kind of wander around on your page and never check out, especially in e-commerce, Google knows you have an e-commerce site, right? Like we've talked about, Google's super smart. So they want to see that you are Remember we talked about the T, the trustworthiness. Part of being trustworthy is people checking out.
Exactly.
They want to see you convert. So yeah, talk about CRO here real quick, because to me that really matters for SEO.
It absolutely does. So there are 3 specific things I want to point out on this section here. First off, the shipping. Customers want to know how much they're going to have to pay for shipping before they reach checkout. It is by far the most common reason that customers abandon their cart, is because they don't want to pay for shipping after finding out how much it is. So I recommend making your shipping rates clear as day on your product pages. If you have shipping rates that change based on the product weight or anything like that, I know it's more difficult to do that. So I recommend if you can offer a free shipping threshold. So say free shipping on all orders over $35 or over $50, at least put that there. So people have a general idea of how much shipping is going to cost before they hit checkout. Second, care in fabric. If you have an apparel store, or if you're having any kind of store that's like food or beauty, something you ingest, something you consume, or something you put on your body, you have to have this section. What is it made of, and how do I take care of it? Those are 2, combined things. Obviously, I don't need to know how to take care of a bag of chips. I'm going to eat it. But last thing is,
I'm going to take care of the bag of chips by putting it in my mouth and then throwing out the trash.
How to eat it. The last thing here is return policy. This is for building trust. So you want to, again, talking trust here, I want to know that if I can return this item, I want to know what the return policy is up front. If I can't return the item, I want to know that up front as well, because obviously there's a risk to anything that's final sale, but you want to know that ahead of time. So one thing I do want to point out about this is this product, or this store here, has 4 primary products. You see this content here, except for the actual what it's made of, that varies. All those other tabs below are the same on every page, but the description is different. So there are going to be you're going to end up repeating content to some level, but I would not recommend, if I'm selling the same shirt in 12 different colors and they're all separate products, don't use the same description on every product. I know it's difficult to say, like, how many times can you write about the same shirt? My limit's at like 4 until I reach out to somebody else and say, hey, write this for me, or I get myself a drink so I can get creative. Yeah. But there's a limit to it. I understand there's a limit to your creativity. That's why it's really helpful to hire copywriters for this. Yeah.
And copywriters are generally fairly affordable, and there's quite a few of them on the market.
Yeah, the Shopify experts page has copywriters available. Yeah. So a few more questions I'm seeing come in about those tabs that you just saw. Some themes support them, some themes do not. There are apps that can do it. There are developers that can just build that in for you. So Thigh Society is actually a custom Shopify theme. That's something my team built. Full disclosure, they're our client. I guess I should have started with that, but I did not write their content, and that's what we were showing them. Okay, so this is a fun question. What are some absolute no-nos when it comes to SEO?
Ooh, I love no-nos. I've got a hot take on a no-no.
A spicy take.
This is a spicy take. Pop-ups.
Ooh. This is a hill you will die on. If you ever listen to our podcast and one of us, if I whisper the word pop-ups, Rhian will spend the next 20 minutes talking about why she hates pop-ups.
It's true. Back in the before times when I was doing physical presentations, I literally have a slide in my deck that says death to pop-ups with the emoji skull and crossbones underneath it. And here's why. This isn't just my opinion. I'm not the one saying this. Google said this 4 years ago. Google calls them interstitials because why not have a giant word to explain what a pop-up is? And Google indexes mobile first. So what that means is Google's looking at your mobile experience before they're looking at your desktop experience. Now think of how, when we've all seen it, a pop-up is on mobile, right? It can be a wall-to-wall pop-up. You can't click out of it. It's a disaster. It's also served at like 1 second, right? You click onto a store and there's your pop-up. Bam.
Give me your email.
Give me your email. Here's why that's a problem. Google can't crawl around it, first of all, which is why Google wrote a whole article about it. And then also, imagine if you were going into Nordstrom and before, like as you're walking in, before you can get to where you want to go, someone steps in front of you with like a giant sign and just says,
spin the wheel.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Don't do it. Don't do it. 3 caveats. I believe there's 3. Yes. Age gating. So if you have an age gated product, so any quote, alcohol. Yeah. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, right? Vice industries, age gating, GDPR stuff, cookies. That's okay. Besides that, the other thing that Google's like very much like, yes, you can have this little guys slide in from the side. That's okay. Ones that slide up from the bottom. That's okay. Ones that slide down from the top. That's okay. They're just very anti, and so am I, the giant ones in the middle. Bonus negative points go to if it's difficult to click out of.
Yes. Okay. Now here's a hill I will die on.
Okay.
When you're putting together your pop-up and you're deciding on your language and there's that no thanks button, please just say no thanks.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I think people love to get creative and be like, no, I don't want to save money, or no, I don't want free shipping, or no, I don't want to save the trees today. Just say no thanks, please.
So for those of you in the chat who are like, oh my gosh, pop-ups, I have one. What,
Pop-ups are still okay.
They're still okay. I mean, I still don't like them, but they're still okay. Just give it a lag. Give it 10 seconds, or choose the other options that your pop-up provider probably has, which is the slide-in ones from the side or the ones from the top or the bottom. Those are totally fine.
Also,
it's the giant ones.
So there's one thing that was mentioned, or a couple things that are mentioned in the chat right now. First off, chat bubbles. So little things in the bottom right corner, totally fine. I recommend offering live chat on your site if you can, because it is one of the best ways that you can convert a customer who just has one single question they need to ask. Will this fit me? Does it have any particular ingredients that I'm allergic to? Anything like that. Will it arrive in time? That's another really big one. So yeah, if you can offer chat, totally great. Please do it. And also nothing wrong with having that little chat button in the bottom corner. Second, exit intent pop-ups. What this is when you are moving your cursor off the screen and let's say back up to like a bookmark or another tab, and you see like, hey, wait, don't leave yet. I'll give you 10% off if you stay. That's totally fine as well. What Google doesn't like to see is if you load the page and you immediately serve them a pop-up.
Yeah.
So,
it offends them and me.
So I do love pop-ups though. So it's just in terms of conversion rate optimization, they're really, really useful. So
yeah, it's just about when and it's about how. Exactly. Now, the other thing that's really a Google no-no is unethical practices. So I like to say, if it feels too good to be true, it is. So if a person comes to you and they kind of feel snake oilsy, but you really want the results, don't take the results. You don't actually want those results. And I used to be in banking, and I would always tell my team, if you have to ask yourself, is it unethical if I, and then
Sorry.
you have, do you have thunder over there?
Yeah, the lights were flashing.
So Kelly has a ghost at her house. Meanwhile, if you have to ask yourself, if things are unethical or something is unethical, it definitely is. So that includes buying backlinks, keyword stuffing, just anything generally sketchy. Don't do it. You will regret it, and Google will take you off of the listings. Another thing that's really, really critical is, so this isn't a no-no, this is a must. Make sure you're secure. So that means you have a SSL, which means you're HTTPS, not HTTP. Luckily, Shopify does that for you.
They do it for you.
Which is rad.
If you're on Shopify, you don't have to do a thing.
And another thing is don't be slow, that's a sort of a way to frame it. Be fast.
Be fast.
Be performant. You need to be performant, and you really need to function well on mobile. And so that doesn't just mean, when I say function well on mobile, I don't mean just I can access your store on mobile. There's a difference. Like, I need to be able to read your tab targets. I need to be able to understand how to navigate. Don't make it overcomplicated. You want people to get into your store, stay, get what they want, check out, boom. That's giving you Google, SEO juice. Now you've converted. Awesome. Now you've made some money. And now you're going to get found faster.
Okay, you know what? We need to talk about site speed.
Oh my God, please.
We need to have a moment to discuss that nice new feature on your theme that gives you a score for how fast your store is. This is powered by something Google built called Google Page Speed Insights. And the scores are calculated across every single website on the internet, whether you have a single one-page website or you are a very complex e-commerce business. You can technically score 100. It is going to be very rare. And honestly, most stores are going to be in like the 30 to 60 range.
Yeah.
So there are definitely, it's helpful to get the tips of what's going to help speed up your sites. For example, if your images are too large.
Yeah, this is a big one. This is like the lowest hanging fruit of site speed. We see it all the time. People are like, what do I do? I'm so slow. I'm like, that image is massive.
It is 8 megabytes. It should be 300 kilobytes.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things you can do today.
Yeah, exactly. So yes. So key takeaways: submit your sitemap, do some keyword research, update your titles and meta descriptions, write some blog posts, write your alt text. Wow, I'm giving you a lot of takeaways today. I'm sorry, you are going to be very busy people. And resize your images. So image optimization. First off, you should never upload an image that's going to be larger than the space it's actually going to fit in.
Right.
So if you have a space that's, let's say it's 300 pixels in width, I would say don't go larger than 600 pixels in width as actually uploading that image. Second, optimize your images. So what this means is it basically does some weird magic stuff to strip metadata out of the image and it condenses the file size. So what's usually, let's say, oh no, I just froze.
I can see you.
Okay, we're good.
You're good.
It's living in Atlanta. This is the tropical storm Beta that's coming through right now.
Oh, Beta.
We reached the Greek letters this year, so fun things. Anyway, so optimizing your images. I recommend optimizing them before you upload them. If you're on a Mac, I like to use Image Optim. It is free. Oh my goodness, it is raining a lot. It's very loud. Anyway, it's free. If you're not on a Mac, Kraken is a nice tool that
I love Kraken.
That Rhian loves to use. And then if you already have your images uploaded and you want to optimize them, I like using the Shopify app Crush Picks. Super handy. It'll go through and optimize all your images. My entire house is shaking right now.
Cool. So, okay, those are great things for site speed. Another thing that is important is to go through, do an app audit and say, am I using these apps? I did this the other day with someone and we realized they were only using a third of the apps they had installed and a third of the code that was forward facing. Not all apps have forward facing code, like none of my apps do, but a lot of apps do have forward facing code. And so it takes up bandwidth on your store. So just go through, make sure you want all those apps. And let's say there are some apps you need cleaned up and taken off. When you're uninstalling them, do not just assume that the code is going to go away. That's not how the apps work. Email the app developers and ask them to take it out. They will take it out for you. You just have to ask.
Exactly. It is part of their job. If they're leaving code in your theme, they need to remove that.
They need to remove it. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I need to add the list of things that you should be absolutely reviewing today. We are already an hour and 10 minutes in. So what would you say if we switch to teardowns? Unless you have any
friendly teardowns. For those of you asking for a list for checkoff, I believe
it's everything that I just listed.
Oh yeah, and Hans is going to also do a recap in the Growth Labs Facebook group and
exactly
in an email, I would assume as well.
Also, before we start the teardowns, I did want to quickly mention that if you do need help with your SEO as we move forward, I'm actually offering an SEO audit for $600 that goes through both technical SEO and on-page SEO and gives you just a documented recommendations. If you want to sign up for that, you can go to thetaproom.com/SEO.
Yeah, she's doing that just for the holiday. She normally doesn't do it because she doesn't have the bandwidth. But this year she's like, why not one more thing?
Why not one more thing? Feeling extra giving this year.
We're feeling extra giving. So, okay, we're going to start with teardowns, friendly teardowns.
Okay.
And
you can go ahead and post your links.
Yes, post your links. Okay, so I've got one. This was the first one that I was able to pull. And whoops.
So while Rhian's pulling that up, just to explain what these teardowns are, basically what we do is we go through the homepage all the way through checkout and point out things we love about the store and any areas of opportunity as well. So I know somebody asked again for the link. It is thetaproom.com/SEO.
Okay, so we're going to do a quick little teardown. Hopefully we can get about four or five in before the 4:30 mark, which we have a hard stop at. So this is lookyloops.com. Your pop-up was served pretty quickly, so I would just delay that.
But thank you for the no thanks text. I definitely appreciate that.
Yes, I do want to point something out. See this one up here?
No.
Oh, you can't see it because it's in the Chrome tab, huh? So when you go right now on the Chrome tab, it'll have a 1 in parentheses.
Like an unread message.
And that's exactly what it is, but
we can't see it over our faces on the screen share.
But the thing with that is that can get indexed. So if your chat with us is really so you have one that needs to be done, but see how you don't see it. It goes away when you click it. But you don't want it to get indexed with the 1, and Google can index it with the 1. So just be cautious of that.
These chat apps do actually allow you to delay when it triggers that message. So that's what I would recommend doing. Like wait 20 seconds maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh. So one of the things we love asking as soon as we hit a site is, do we know what they're selling?
Kind of.
Things that are going to help me get organized.
Yes, things that are going to help me get organized in a fun way, which is good. I'm not organized at all. So, okay. So here's some copy.
We have some introductory text. So this is one thing that we see missing a lot. You immediately jump into selling your products or offering your products. Before you do that, start by explaining what your brand is. If I've never been to your website, I should know who you are before I'm going to ever trust actually buying your products.
100%. Okay, so we've got this. You're selling face masks and pouches.
Oh, they're matching.
They are matching. I love that. That is cute. And you have some good copy around this.
Okay. So this is interesting. So I assume that before February 2020, you were probably not prioritizing face masks on your website.
Yeah, probably not.
So you probably would have started with Looky Loops, which is, of course, is your flagship product.
So let's go into the Looky Loops flagship product.
Okay.
Oh, that took us into a collection.
So we have Looky Loops are padded pouches to protect your glasses or phone. Got it. Okay. I was a little confused because I clicked on a button to see Looky Loops and then I see cell phone and sunglass cases. I'm like, am I in the right place?
Yes. Another just quick call out. If you have a sold out product or sold out products, I like moving them to the bottom of a collection page. What do you think, Kelly?
I agree. I'm okay with them sprinkled in and not on the first 2 rows of products.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay, let's click on the dragonfly.
Before we go in, I just do want to note something really quickly. These images do not have the same aspect ratio.
They don't.
When you use images that are the same aspect ratio, let's say they're all a square or they're all the same exact like portrait size or landscape size, like they're all 400 by 300 pixels, for example, it creates an easier flow for your eyes to work your way from top to bottom on the page.
Okay.
Choose a product.
Dragonflies.
Cool. Okay.
Oh.
So my guess is the description is below the add to cart button.
Yes. What do you think about that being cut off like that?
I have no idea what it says because I can't even click on it.
Okay.
So this is one thing that Shopify does. If you don't have variants, so different product options, I recommend leaving this to the default section. I would rather you say in the description or like a smaller section above the product description what the size is. Because I don't know what below BA, I couldn't even guess what that says.
Yeah. So I can click in to classic large and extra large, but I don't know what it means below.
I couldn't see where you're clicking. It's not showing up for me.
Oh, weird. Okay. Can you at least read the copy?
I can see the copy below. Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I like it. Yeah, like what Kelly said about it being right here. Okay, this copy looks strong.
This is strong. I do wonder, does it vary from product to product?
Okay. Try to memorize this.
I got it.
Okay.
Same copy.
Same thing. Yeah.
Yep. So unique product descriptions for each of your products, please. I know you're selling the same thing, but they have different prints on them. Talk about how this print is going to be really cute in like on the beach or walking around some city or whatever it might be.
Or how it makes you feel, or how this one's a map. So like, remember your travel days, or
remember when we were allowed to travel?
Yeah, stuff like that. It works though. Those type of things work.
Exactly. Okay, let's go to another store.
Okay, absolutely.
And also, as we mentioned before, we do have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/commercet. We're actually posting teardowns on there every Thursday.
We are. Okay. So
while you're
I got
pulling that
one.
up, okay, Lisa asked, wondering if you think the product copy is better above or below the add to cart section. That is a very good question. If you're going to put a product description above the add to cart, I would rather see like introductory text, like 2 sentences tops, then the add to cart button, and then the rest of the description. Kind of like an introductory or like introduction to the product before jumping into the rest of it.
Okay, so this one offered to translate it for me, and then I didn't click it in time.
Okay. Do we need to go get your daughter?
No, she's not home right now. Okay, let's see if I can fix it. Okay, so I think we're selling succulents for the house, right?
Yep.
But that's what I thought we were selling.
So looks like we're selling again, if this was our first language, we'd probably understand this a little bit better. This is our own fault.
This is, yes.
Okay, so let's go into, let's just go into a product.
Okay.
Okay, so I see these 2 icons here. I really wish I understood everything that was on this page.
Made by hand, made in Mexico.
Oh, I can't, the text is too small. I can't.
Oh, okay.
That's okay then.
It's a concrete holder for a succulent. And everyone just watched my terrible translation skills, but
all right.
There is a lot of content here.
Yep. This describes how it's made with geometric details, shapes.
Yep.
It's perfect for your succulent.
So it talks about maintaining.
I love how we both have very broken Spanish and we can just kind of like pick
pieces
out of it.
So I like that there's the material, it's called out.
This product has, I assume that's a ship time of 5 and I can't, the last word is too hard for me to read.
So I like that it talks about security, travel, security of payment.
Okay. So, form of payment. Oh, okay. So these are, go back up a little bit. These are trust building factors. So these are things ships in 5 to 10 days. Thank you. I was close. Okay. So a couple things to note about that. If that actually says it ships in 5 to 10 days, if that means that that's the processing time, the fulfillment time before shipping. If there is a lengthy wait, especially if things are made to order, make sure that is crystal clear on the product page. Nobody likes finding out that the product's actually going to take 6 weeks to arrive.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to click off of this only because I feel like I can't give you the best possible feedback. I'm so sorry. Okay. We are going to do infinite soaps. So they use cookies.
So this popped up immediately. Of course, it's pretty small, but either way, that's totally fine to show.
That's totally fine. We're going to accept the cookies. I always like that as an option. It's like, do you want to accept these cookies? And it's like, yes, I have to.
Nah. Oh, yeah.
There's not a secondary op. That's not a knock on you, Infinite Soaps. That's just that's like the function of that.
That's just how they work. You're accepting these cookies.
So, okay, we know what you sell because you tell us straight up.
You sell sustainable skincare.
I would say I want to see your product a little bit more. I get that it's faded into the background, but I can't see it well enough. Kelly, what do you think?
You can actually do a delicate balance here because what's really great is the contrast. You can read that black text on a white background very well. But if you want to kind of bring back in the images or the products themselves and surround them around the text, you could absolutely do that.
Yeah. So but I like what I'm seeing so far. Okay, skincare on a mission. Oh, I like this right up front. Bam, bam, bam. Skincare on a mission. Do you think this should be centered?
I think the heading should be centered, but I think the rest of the text, what I would actually do. So this is an interesting point on just content on a page in general. Think about reading a magazine article. You have multiple columns that you're reading in a magazine or even like on a news website. It is maybe like a third to half of what you're seeing on the width of the screen, because it's easier for your eyes to read, or the customer's eyes to read, if they're not having to drag their site across long lines and then jump right back to the beginning. You know how occasionally you'll start reading the same line twice in a book? Yeah. This is why that happens. It's because you're having to read too long of lines. So shrink this section up so the text is a little bit more narrow.
Okay. Oh, I just wanted to call this out real quick. Do you see the note up top?
Aha. Yes.
I love that. Expectation setting. Critical.
Exactly. So one thing to note as well about that top section there, quite often you see a lot of brands right now saying, hey, we're still open and shipping during COVID-19. This was much more important in April and May and June, but the pandemic is still around and people still have questions, especially as we move into the holiday shopping season. There are a lot of things that are kind of going against us in terms of how quickly things will be able to ship, for example, and what those shipping cutoffs will be as we approach the holidays. So that bar is a really good place to be in adding that information.
So let's click into a soap. I'm just going to pick this one. Charcoal.
How do you shrink the text box? This is usually a setting within the theme. So usually it'll say how wide you want that section to be. If it does not exist, you'll have to use a developer to add that in there.
Okay, so activated charcoal. Oh, there's a pretty big description down there.
There is, and that's totally fine. Yeah, this is an example of putting this description below the rest of the add to cart section, just because it is long and you don't want to push down that add to cart button.
Yeah, I don't know if you need the notes here.
I would usually put the notes section on the cart.
Yeah, I feel like this takes up some valuable real estate.
Exactly.
And also this is maybe too many options.
Yeah. Same with terms and conditions. That should be a cart feature as well. So yes, this is a little bit overwhelming in terms of the number of checkout options you want. I would just go with one button that just says Shopify Secure, honestly.
Yeah. And too many.
Yeah, you can have those payment icons in the very bottom of your website if you want that. I think Google Shopping actually requires that. So easy to include on there. Oh, there's a feature that's worth talking about. We have a fixed add to cart bar. So this shows you the product name, the price, how many reviews they have, and the 5 stars there. And it lets you add to cart right from here. So as you're scrolling down, you're reading the description, you're checking out the ingredients, you're looking at the reviews, et cetera, whatever else is on the page. You always have that add to cart button available.
I really love that.
I love that. This is something that I don't know actually if it's built into any theme. I think every single time it's been requested, it's something I've actually had to manually code in.
Okay, so we are going to do one more. Apparently, we're just doing cosmetics today because I just grabbed a second cosmetics in a row.
Wait. Pull up madgoat.dk. We're looking at coffee.
Madgoat.dk. Okay. Pulling up. Boop. Okay. Is this what you just bought today?
No, I'm buying from what's it called? Coffee Collective.
Did you know
also in Denmark?
I know, that's why I asked. Okay, this is cool. I will say I don't know if I love this hero image.
I'm not opposed to it actually.
Okay.
You see the bag in the top left, not the one that's the purple label, but the next one over, that gray bag.
Oh,
that's Coffee Collective.
Okay, so we know you sell coffee.
We are immediately having some trust building factors here. So here's some rankings from Trustpilot. Trustpilot is one of the many reviews apps that you can use. I am personally a fan of Okendo and Judge.me. So
there's something, I don't see how it's like big, small, big.
I think it's the width of your screen.
Is it the width of my screen?
Yeah.
That's very, very possible. Okay.
You are a wide screen.
That is true.
One thing that's missing on this homepage is text. There's not much copy here.
No. Tell us what you're doing. We want to know what you're doing right here.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at some beans.
Okay. Let's look at Coffee Collective. Wait, before we go in here, let's talk about that sidebar. Love this a lot. So
yes.
you can narrow it down by the roastery, the country of origin, how you brew your coffee. If you're offering products that people tend to narrow down, they need to narrow down what they need to look for. These types of filters are super handy. I like keep talking. I'm going to find the app that what it's called before I say the wrong. I think it's product search and filter.
I really like this country of origin with the flag.
I was close. It's called product filter and search.
We're going to look at this. Ethiopian coffee is almost my favorite coffee 100% of the time. Let's see. I love that. Made in Denmark, organic, right up top.
Love that.
Add to cart. There's a fast pay option as well.
Yep. Okay, so talking about that fast pay option. So this is called accelerated checkout, and it's something that's offered if you're using Shopify payments. I see some merchants kind of hit pause before offering something like this because they think that it's going to reduce your average order value. What I think is these are actually really handy buttons because you're getting the impulse buyers. So if people want to shop around, they're going to continue to shop around. But if they're ready to check out now, why distract them from checking out? If you can just go ahead and hit checkout. So I'm a big fan of those buttons.
Okay.
So this does not actually describe the coffee itself.
Like this does down here, but I feel like you can give me some more up here.
You might be able to get some content from your suppliers.
Yeah.
But don't copy the content from their website.
Yeah, don't copy and paste it, massage it, make it your own. But yeah, I like this though a lot where it talks about the process and it really breaks it down. I like that you have a roastery as a secondary option as well. I'm going to stop right here because we're about to hit a time wall.
So I hope this was helpful. We went through a lot in terms of SEO, and of course we did plenty of teardowns as well. Once again, if you are interested in an SEO audit, you can visit the taproom.com/SEO. Any final thoughts?
No, everyone have a great day. Stay safe, be well. Until next time, have a great one.
Have a good one.